Okay, hello everybody, welcome. If you've just joined us, if you could please place yourself on mute, that helps us a lot. We have over 100 people registered to come to today's session, so it makes our life a lot easier and a lot less distracting for me. So welcome to today's Lunch and Learn, which is all about strengthening your dementia training. My name is Kirby. I'm one of the directors at Thrive Aged Care Consultants, and up in the corner, or in my corner anyway, we've got Kate Lamont, who is the co-director at Thrive. I will be facilitating today's session, and Kate is going to be acting as gatekeeper, letting people in, and we'll be checking the chat as well. So if this is the first time you've joined us, welcome. Kate and I very quickly are very passionate clinicians. I am a nurse by background. Kate is an OT, and we have both been working for over, well, nearly 21 years now in the industry, and we have a very big passion for supporting older people, in particular older people or people living with dementia. And we established Thrive to be able to support you guys who support the older people no matter what setting they're in. So today I know there's a large number of you from lots of different settings, so including from acute hospital settings into the community and obviously aged care as well. So our passion is supporting you guys with knowledge and skills to feel confident and competent in the work that you do, which is very important, that work supporting older people. So that's enough about us. We will get straight into today because we jam-packed these 30-minute sessions, and we want to talk to you about this very exciting framework that has been released and the opportunities that it brings for you and your teams. So just some quick housekeeping. Thank you so much to everybody for muting when you came in. It does make our life a lot easier. You feel free to take notes. If you have questions, if you could just pop them in the chat, or there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the session, and we'll stop recording before we do those questions so that you can feel free to openly ask what you like. And just a reminder, if you've jumped in late, we do record these sessions and upload them onto YouTube so that you are free to use them with your teams as well. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about the National Dementia I've already said it wrong. The National Dementia Education and Training Standards Framework. What a mouthful. Couldn't have come up with a shorter name. But I'm going to call it the framework from now moving forward, and the opportunities that it brings. We're going to talk about the focus on dementia in the upcoming Strength and Aged Care Standards, which are just over a month away from being implemented. We're going to explain one domain from the new framework and what it looks like. And we're also going to talk about how you're going to use this framework in your organisation, because this is an amazing resource that is available to everybody, no matter what space you work in. It is brilliant. It's able to be used anywhere by anybody in any industry, even other than health and aged care. That's why it's been developed. So we will talk more about that in a minute. I'd like to hear from you though. Has anyone actually heard about this framework? Either raise your hands or pop it in the chat, just a yes or a no. Just out of curiosity, we'd love to hear from you. Amazing. Lots of hands going up. Great. So glad that you've heard about it already. So that's amazing. Hopefully you've already had a really good look at it. And if you haven't, that's okay, because that's what we're going to go through today. So let's start with this quote as well. And I want you to have a look at this and tell me, well, firstly, who said this? Write it in the chat. As a condition of approval of aged care providers, all aged care all workers engaged by providers who are involved in direct contact with people seeking or receiving services in aged care system undertake regular training about dementia care and palliative care. So firstly, if you want to pop in the chat, where did that quote come from? If anyone's heard it, or where do you think it might have come from? And also, who agrees with this quote? And I'm just going to open up the chat. Did I say it? No, I didn't, Janice. I'd be happy to say it though. I probably did in a different way. Marie agrees. Yep. No one knows where it's come from. but a couple of people agreeing. It's an important statement, isn't it? Aged care quality, yeah. The quality, okay. No, actually it didn't come from the Quality Commission, but the Minister. Close. It actually came from the Royal Commission into aged care, and it's actually specifically one of the recommendations that came out of the Royal Commission into aged care, which happened a number of years ago. And I've seen a few of you have already said that you agree with this quote, but I'm pretty sure that given that you are here today and given the areas that you all work in, that you would agree that this is an area that we need to pay particular focus on, and something that we still haven't quite got to doing really well. Okay. If we're working with older people and we are working with people living with dementia, then we should, it's a no-brainer for me. That's why I think Janice asked if it was my quote, 100% we should be doing regular training in these areas, in particular with dementia care. So we know that, you know, all of you guys are going to agree with that quote. And you know what? It's the time for change, because we knew before the Royal Commission, and particularly when the Royal Commission happened, that there was a gap in the way that we provided quality dementia care to our clients, to our residents, to a number of people. You're right, Sanjita, it's been mentioned several times through the Royal Commission. Okay, we know there was a gap. We knew that before we were told that. But now we've also been told that we need to do better. But how far have we actually gotten with implementing this training? And now we know with the strengthened aged care standards coming in that we're at a crossroads, because we know that there is a requirement now that we have mandatory training in dementia care for all of our workforce. All of our workforce, not just the people who we decide needs it, our entire workforce. Okay, so we're at a crossroads right now. And although we know that we're required to make these changes, we do not want to be doing it just because we're being forced to. We know that we can do things better. We know that there is an opportunity to take the other way, like in this image here, and do it right this time. Because a lot of the time education takes a back burner approach, and it's a reactive thing that we do, and it is something that we do to tick a box, and enough is enough. It's not acceptable anymore. Okay, we all want to do better. We want to improve outcomes for people living with dementia. So we are going to take the other way. Okay, and oh, thank you. Good. I've already started ranting and I'm 8 minutes in, but I'm glad that you guys are agreeing. But we have the opportunity now. And the great news is that we have a resource that can help us get started, because we are all busy. We're trying to do a million things of every, you know, day-to-day business when we are working with older people, particularly if you're working in aged care, with the upcoming reform changes coming in. But now we have a resource that is going to help us get started. And that is what this framework is. Okay. Before we get into the framework, I'm just going to quickly remind us of what our responsibility is going to be under the Strengthened Aged Care Standards, even though that is not why we're here today. We're not here to tick a box to meet the standards, but we're just going to relay the importance of what was reflected in the Royal Commission and what has been outlined in our dementia, in our Strengthened Aged Care Standards around dementia care. So we know that dementia is a key focus in the Strengthened Aged Care Standards, and specifically training is mentioned as a requirement. So competency-based training. So you can see that in outcome 2.9.6, it specifically says it. Okay, so we can't get around it. The framework supports the implementation of these standards, and in particular around standard 3, but there's lots of different areas that dementia is mentioned throughout the Strengthened Aged Care Standards, and we've gone through that through many of our lunch and learn sessions, so feel free to go back and have a look at them if you haven't seen them on YouTube as well. But we're wanting to make sure that we have, you know, our programs and the care that we provide is contemporary and evidence-based, that we have strategies in place, and that we have enabled our staff with the skills to identify the strengths and skills of people living with dementia. Okay, so skills is a word that is mentioned a lot in here. Knowledge is one thing, skills is another thing, and that's something that this framework really focuses on as well, which we really love, is it takes both those approaches with their training. These are just further outcomes, which I'm not going to go into again with these strengthened standards, but a lot of keywords there: supporting aged care workers around, understanding communication, which we're going to talk a little bit about through this session, and understanding the person and their individual needs as well. So feel free to have a look at these specific outcomes a bit later today. So the framework. What is the framework? And a few of you have said you've seen it or you've heard of it, at least. We've got a link at the end of the presentation as well, so you can download that copy yourselves to have a look in your records. But the framework was commissioned and funded by the Department of Health and Aged Care and developed by Dementia Training Australia. So the Royal Commission into Aged Care Quality and Safety, which was in 2021, which we spoke about earlier, which is where that quote came from, identified across several recommendations the need to improve workforce education and training. Now, this framework has been developed to support these recommendations, and it is the first national dementia education and training standards framework in Australia. So how amazing is that? What a great resource that we can use. It was developed over 3 years, and it was co-developed, importantly, with 3 key groups. So it was developed with people living with dementia, those subject matter experts, as well as stakeholders from different sectors. So again, we've got a mix of you here today, not just from aged care, but from different settings: healthcare, acute settings, community settings, which is fantastic because it means that we're all see the importance and the benefit of having a national training framework that is able to be translated across every workplace. Even ANZ Bank, if you wanted to, you could use this framework. So the framework is designed to be relevant, got a typo there, to anyone supporting or caring for a person living with dementia. So this includes consumers themselves, but also their representatives, their families, as well as our support services staff in a hospital setting, our volunteers in an aged care setting, the bank manager at ANZ Bank, Ferguson Players. I was there on the weekend. There was, a large group of older people there who go every week to meet. There's endless opportunities for this framework to be used. And the great way that it has been laid out is that you are able to use it according to your needs in your particular setting. Okay. So this is a great opportunity, and this is just a screenshot of the domains of learning. So there are 14 different domains, and the great news is that you don't have to go through in order. You can identify what domain it meets the needs that you need to address first. And there are 4 different tiers for learning. So there is introductory, foundational, enhanced practice, and advanced practice. Okay, so we are going to talk about how we've interpreted how we would use it if I was to go in, and if I was a manager, or if I was to come in to assist with education, training, development, how I would have a look at this tiered approach. But it's been developed to support a more consistent and comprehensive approach to both knowledge and skill development, which is really key. Providing personal care, providing practical support for people is not a theoretical thing, okay? It takes skill. I can see people nodding. You cannot learn all of your training by watching a video that is pre-recorded. I'm sorry, I'm saying that as a nurse who has been around for over 20 years. There are some things that you need to learn in person with practical application, okay? That's it. There are knowledge aspects, there are skill aspects, and that's just what we need to accept, and we need to find a way to make it work. Now, the great thing about this framework is that it takes both those approaches. So in each domain, there is a list of goals of learning for both knowledge and for both skill under each of the tiers. Okay, so it provides a pathway approach to the development of dementia knowledge and skills. So like I was saying, this framework has been developed with input from lots of different stakeholders. So there is lots of different feedback in there to ensure that it is meeting the needs of absolutely everybody. Okay, so let's have a look at what that might look like in practice. And what I've done is I've chosen domain 7 because communication is something that is specifically mentioned again in the standards, but also aside from that, something that we see time and time again is one of the areas that we assume people have a lot of knowledge and a lot of skill in, and they don't. Okay, so let's pick the domain 7, which is communication and connection. Now, as an example, each of the domains have a context statement. So much like the strength and aged care standards, it actually aligns quite nicely. So why are we talking about communication and connection? Why is it important that people have knowledge and skill in these particular areas? So there's a context statement, and slide 11 we're on. And then we have the themes of each domain, okay? And this is what is covered off in the knowledge and each of the tiers. But these are the themes for domain 7, which is the cognitive impact on communication, emotional intelligence, communication skills and technique, that word again, I should have bolded it, enabling communication, culture and language, loneliness and isolation, and connectedness, okay? So this is the first page of the domain. We then move in and each of the tiers are broken down. So each tier will have knowledge goals and skill goals, which is basically what you are wanting to, the objectives of your training, okay? So for example, tier 2 in domain 7, I've just picked 2 random examples for you. So in the foundational knowledge of tier 2, which we will talk about the different tiers in a minute, 2 of the goals are to know the impact cognitive changes can have on verbal and non-verbal communication, including expression and comprehension, and understanding the importance of non-verbal communication and the appropriate use of touch. And then the foundational skill for tier 2 is being able to connect with a person at a social and emotional level, moving beyond task-focused interactions. And the second being establishing a relationship with people living with dementia through connection and person-centered practice. They are skills that we should be able to say people are confident and competent to do, okay? At the end of each domain, it then gives you a list of resources, okay? So there is a whole list, and each domain is different. So there are links to fact sheets, there are links to YouTube videos, and there are links to websites as well. So what does this mean? What have you noticed with this, this framework? And the key thing is that it isn't giving you the training. It's giving you the opportunities. It's giving you what you should be aiming to achieve, and then it's leaving how you achieve it up to you, because we all work in different settings and we all have different requirements for our different team members, which is a real bonus, I think, when you're having a look at this, rather than having that, one size fits all approach, which doesn't work. I've worked in lots of different settings, and if I applied the way I did something in all of those settings, it wouldn't work in 95% of them, okay? We all work, we have different skills with our teams, we have different locations, we have different challenges. So we need to be able to use these, use this framework to meet our needs ourselves. So from my perspective, what do I really like about it? It is an inclusive approach. No one is left out of this framework. Like I was saying at the start, it was developed with input from multiple stakeholders, and it is created so that anybody can use it no matter the setting. Okay, so you can use this framework and have a look at tier 1, look at the goals and think about how can I support my consumers and my representatives of, within our facility, let's say, we work at. How can I involve them? How can we achieve some of these goals for that particular group? It's flexible, so you don't need to go through domain 1 through to 14. You can focus on a particular domain based on your identified need or priority area. And I'll talk about how we would go through that in a minute. But everyone has different areas of priority. Everyone has areas where you think, oh, we need a little bit more. We do reasonably well here, but we need to, let's say, focus on communication more. So that's where we would focus our attention. And you open up to that domain and you have a look at what goals you're trying to achieve. It gives you those learning goals. Hello, don't reinvent the wheel. We've got enough to do. as it is. We know we have to put training in. So why are we going to try and create things from scratch when it's already there for us? Look at the resource, highlight what you think needs to be achieved, and then go from there. There's probably about 15 goals. Don't try and achieve all 15. Just pick 3, okay, and go from there. It gives you the why behind each domain. There is nothing worse than doing training for the sake of doing training. So once we've identified what our priorities areas are, we can then look at that domain, which further explains why it's important. Because sometimes we can see where the gap is, but then we can have that little bit of additional information to say, oh, okay, yes, actually that makes sense to me about why we need to focus, our training in a particular direction in that domain. And it leaves the how up to you. Amazing. We don't want to be given a structured education package that you try to deliver that you don't understand. Okay, so it helps you, it gives you what you need, and then you identify, you use those learning objectives set, and then you deliver it in a way that suits your individual organisation needs. Each staffing group is going to have different needs as well. Regional areas versus rural areas versus metro versus aged care, healthcare, we're all different. We have different skill sets, we have different access to resources. So, you need to work out what is best for your organisation, but also make sure you are using it for what is best for your individual tiers or individual groups. Okay, because everybody learns differently. Your RNs, for example, if you've got a younger RN cohort, they may be very, very confident to sit and do online live training with you for half an hour, whereas you may have an older cohort of your support services staff who aren't really computer savvy, don't feel confident, and they much prefer 15-minute in-person short sessions. Okay, so don't just assume, you need to have a look and think about your different staffing groups and how that might look. Now, again, if I was setting up a training program, or if I was coming in to assist with your organisation, this is how I would be doing it. So number 1 is I would be identifying where need to focus the attention first. You cannot focus on everything because then people will learn nothing. So things I would be looking at. What are your incident types? What are you seeing? Are you seeing a number of SIRs relating to physical abuse? Are you seeing a number of sexually inappropriate behaviours? Are you seeing OVA for your staff who are trying to provide personal care? And again, doesn't matter the setting. This could be in an acute setting as well, because that is going to point you in the direction of where you need to prioritise your knowledge and your skill training. Have a look at things like your complaints as well. What's your feedback telling you? And when I say look at your feedback, don't look at don't look at all of the words. You need to interpret what it is telling you, because there will be a theme that comes out of it. So maybe it is carer approach, maybe it is communication, there can be lots of different themes. So have a look at your complaints and try and really delve down to what the core issue, the root cause is that is leading to these complaints. And importantly, what are your team telling you that they want, and what do your team need? 2 different questions. I can't tell you how many training needs analysis I've done, and I can tell you they're all the same wants of training. But needs is very different. So if I was you, I would be asking both questions, because I might want to learn about complex wound care. That's fantastic. Might have nothing to do with my current role, but I might want to learn about complex wound care. But what I actually need is I need to understand more about engagement for people living with dementia. Okay, so asking what you need, and even being more specific. What dementia training need? What training do you need around positive dementia care? Yep. So ask really specific questions, and then, then from that, take all of that information, and we need to work with your team, because this isn't a one person job. Okay. So thinking, again, doesn't matter what setting you're in, you need to engage with your teams and think about how you would link them to a particular tier. Now, if this is not necessarily how you have to do this, but this is how I would have a look at it. So tier 1, which is that introductory level, I would be looking at, people like our clients, our patients, or our residents and representatives, or our non-clinical staff working in aged care services. Now, this is an introductory level, okay? So when I'm saying that, our other staff, who are clinical staff, should obviously have that introductory level of skill and knowledge, okay? But if we're looking at all of our different staff groups, this is how I would have a look at breaking it down. Tier 2 would be all of our clinical staff who are working in aged care services. If you look after older people, then you should be looking at achieving the goals of knowledge and skill for tier 2 for all of those team members, and potentially some of your non-clinical team members as well. I used to run a dementia assessment unit in an acute hospital, and we had permanent support service staff. They are people who would have, I would say, would require tier 2 level knowledge and skill, because they are working in that environment day in, day out. Tier 3 is your more senior staff, or how I would look at it. So care coordinators, your managers, and dementia-specific program unit programs or unit staff. Now, I'm about to go on a little rant again, which is, if you are a service that promotes that you are a dementia specialist centre, or you have a dementia specialist unit, then you need to be ensuring that your staff that work in that specialised area have the skills and the knowledge of a tier 3 level. Because I go around to a lot of places and I see dementia-specific care offered, dementia-specific unit, we're a specialised organisation, and I don't see much training going in. So if that's what you're promoting your service as, then you need to go and you need to look at those team members, and you need to look at tier 3, and you need to ensure that they have the skills and the knowledge at a tier 3 level, okay? Tier 4, we're not really going to focus on that. Is more like your clinical experts, your specialists, nurse practitioners, potentially, people who have that higher level of interest. But tier 1s through to 3 are where we're wanting to focus our attentions. And step 3 is act. No point doing all this work and then doing nothing with it. So again, don't do this by yourself. Don't do it in isolation. Get your team members, get representatives from your different teams. So your non-clinical, your clinical, your volunteers, your representatives, everybody. Sit and develop a broad training plan for your organisation for the next 12 months based on the priority areas of need. Okay, don't try to do all 14 domains. Pick the ones that you want to focus your attention on. And don't forget your team members who are in tier 1, because what we tend to do is we focus on our clinical teams and we forget about everybody else who is just as important. Develop a focused education plan for specialty areas. So if you, again, have a memory support unit or an assessment unit, or you have areas that have a higher rate of people living with dementia, higher rates of incidence, etc., develop a focused education plan just for them. Use the framework to enable your teams to identify individual priority areas for learning as well, and then help them to receive that training. We do appraisals every year, and how many times that's a ticker box as well. So let's give people the opportunity, let's use this framework proactively and say, hey guys, pick a couple of goals that you want to learn out of this framework, and we'll help you to meet them. Doesn't mean you need to do it yourself. It means that you have resources around to help meet those goals. And finally, like I was saying earlier, you need to really consider how your team best engage in training, because we're not doing training to meet the minimum requirements. We're not doing it to tick a box because the standards say that we have to. The reason that we are doing training is because we want change in practice. That's what the goal of education is, okay? So how are we going to ensure that what we're teaching our teams is actually going to translate into practice and show improved outcomes for our clients, our patients, our residents, our family members, okay? So like I was saying earlier, maybe online 1-hour sessions with our RNs, live with yourself might work really well, but that might not work for your kitchen staff. So your kitchen staff, maybe you want to do 15-minute sessions once a week. to get those skills, that skills training across. You need to be flexible. And I know that there are resourcing challenges, but where there's a will, there's a way. So when you involve your broader organization and you involve people in this planning process, then you have much more chance of success. Okay. Because if you try and deliver training that doesn't meet the needs of the people, then there's, you're not going to have the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. So in summary, and I know I'm right on 1 o'clock, but how exciting. The time for change is now. We have an opportunity, we have the resource, and this is going to help us guide the way for future improving dementia care and providing, better quality dementia education everywhere. So follow that plan, identify where you need to focus your education, engage your teams in the process, and then take action. Don't do all that work and then just sit on it and let it go to the side. You've really got to do a specific plan for your dementia training, okay? Consider that best way to deliver training. And again, I put it in bold. How do you teach other practical skills? How do you teach people hand hygiene? How do you teach people how to cannulate or put a catheter in? You don't do it by giving them a pre-recorded recording video and telling them off you go put a cannula in somebody. It's unacceptable. You cannot teach people skills that way. We need to change the way that we're doing skills-based training, and we need to think about dementia training as a skill, not as a ticker box, okay? And the framing provides us with learning goals to aim to meet, but it gives you that flexibility. You can deliver it in a way that suits you. So take that opportunity and run with it. Now, before we go to questions, and I'll stop the recording, we know how challenging it can be. So we have developed a training needs analysis resource tool for you. So we'll send that through in the email, or if you're watching this on YouTube and you want a copy, then feel free to email me and I'll send that through to you. We have broken it down by tiers because I don't want you focusing on groups, because what happens when you focus on individual groups is you forget the groups that are, not clinical, let's be honest. So I've done it by tiers. We'll give you an example document and we will give you a blank document so that you can use that as you wish, and feel free to share it around. Now, as you can tell, dementia is a big passion for both Kate and I, and we know that change is coming, it's happening, and we know, like I was saying, communication is something that we have seen has been a big priority area identified by organisations. We are doing a lot of organisation-specific training over the next couple of months. So if you are interested in having training delivered with a particular focus for your teams, reach out, because we do have some space available July onwards, or else we also have a dementia masterclass, which is 3 hours online, and it is very much focused around communication. So we'll send you the link to that if you are interested in sending your team members along. It's suitable for anybody. We also do have service support. So if dementia care or other areas are something that is you're wanting some external support for, we have a 3 Steps to Thrive program as well. So we will attach the flyer, and feel free to reach out if you would like some support. As always, we just want to say thank you so much for coming along to this session. We do value your feedback, and we really want to hear from you about what you like or what future topics you would like covered. We do this every month, so please do take less than 2 minutes to fill this in. It is anonymous, and that is it. So I will just say farewell, and I'll stop the recording so that if anyone wants to ask any questions, you can do so. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming along, and we will, thank you, Kate. We'll send you a link as well after today's session. So thank you, and if you would like to stick around,